Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you are new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover today. So we're just going to dive right into the first topic, which talks about Sony and how they apparently believe that direct comparisons of different versions of games, such as a PS5 version versus an Xbox Series X version, does ultimately influence buyers. This is being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle. They say Sony Interactive Entertainment has claimed that PS5 versus Xbox Series X game performance comparisons are, quote, highly influential, end quote, and can impact a buyer's purchase decision. This argument was part of Sony's response to UK regulator Competitions and Markets Authority, or the CMA, in which it expressed its disappointment over the authority changing its stance to side with Microsoft. Sony has been arguing that should Microsoft acquire Activision Blizzard and its properties, it would have no incentive to ensure that Call of Duty games fully utilize PS5 exclusive features like DualSense haptics. It further argues that Microsoft could release an inferior version of Call of Duty on PS5. Within a week of releasing Modern Warfare 2, Digital Foundry, a leading analyst, compared performance on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, Sony wrote. Studies show that these types of comparisons are highly influential. The level of social conversation surrounding consoles and games is extremely high. Sony added that Call of Duty can't be compared to Minecraft because the latter has blocky graphics, which means that it can't be used to showcase a console's technical capabilities. So I find this pretty interesting because I do think that there is some truth here. However, I think it's a little bit exaggerated. I mean, there likely are some people who do end up making their console purchase based off of something like a Digital Foundry comparison. I think in order for that to actually be something that is noticeable, though, it would have to be a situation kind of like what we saw with the PS4 and the Xbox One, where consistently, game after game after game, the PS4 was by far the superior version because, you know, their games would hit like 1080p resolution, whereas the Xbox One clearly struggled to hit 1080p resolution, and almost all games were either 720p or 900p, and that dominated the conversation. I don't think it was the fact that some of these games ran at lower resolutions. I think it was the fact that it was as consistent as it was, to whereas you see where we are now with the PS5 and the Series X. They kind of go back and forth. I mean, the PS5 has times where it's running games a little bit better, they're looking a little bit better, but there are those times where the same exact thing happens on the Series X. And so, you know, I don't necessarily think that if in the future with the PlayStation 6 and the next gen version of the Xbox, if Call of Duty whatever comes out and it turns out that it has a slightly higher resolution or slightly higher frame rate on the Xbox, I don't think that's what's going to make people decide, you know what, we're not going to get the PS5 console, we're going to go with the Xbox. Now, if anything's going to make anybody change their mind, it's going to be Call of Duty being available on Game Pass. So yeah, I think it is a bit of a stretch, but you know, we have seen in the past how there was a, you know, social conversation, as they're pointing out here, that was very much surrounding this, and we did see how people reacted to the PS5 when we found out it wasn't as many teraflops as the Xbox Series X. You know, the PS5 got a lot of blowback for that, but it ultimately meant nothing at the end of the day. Look at where the PS5 is, right? It's riding high. So figured I would take a moment to talk about this. It's pretty interesting. Moving on to the next topic, Xbox fans are apparently upset with Sony's patent application language. I have to admit, I couldn't help but laugh out loud when I came across this. This is being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle. Sony is being accused of disparaging Xbox and Nintendo consoles in PlayStation patent applications. Although it doesn't name any console, Sony's patents refer to non-PlayStation home entertainment systems as, quote, inferior, end quote, devices. The language was first highlighted by GameRant, who pointed out that Sony submits two versions of its patent applications. One version is in PDF form, which is specifically used for legal purposes, and this version seems to omit text referring to other console manufacturers as inferior. And so the example they have here, quote, for example, an end-user device may be a personal computer, a home entertainment system, a portable gaming device, or home entertainment system, or a different, albeit inferior, manufacturer, end quote. So that's the example that's used. It's worth noting that this individual has come out. His name is Florian Mueller of Foss Patents. He apparently has 30 plus years of analyzing patents and intellectual property. He has criticized Sony for this. It's worth noting this individual we are talking about has worked with both Microsoft and Blizzard in the past. According to this individual, this is unheard of. In a lengthy article on his own blog, he noted that Sony has been using this, quote, childish, end quote, and quote, unprofessional, end quote, language in patents dating back to 2011. He then proceeds to share a list of patents containing this language from various years, noting separately on Twitter that even some PDFs used for legal purposes contain this language. He also claims that his LinkedIn post on this topic has been liked by various industry professionals, including a senior Nintendo counsel, suggesting that they agree with him. So, yeah, I'll be honest, guys, I can't help but laugh a little bit when I came across this because, you know, in my opinion, it is unprofessional. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to call Sony out for that. Like, you know, you're writing patents, but it is kind of funny. Like, it is just kind of funny to think that, you know, they have this kind of arrogance to a degree where it's like, yeah, you know, there are other consoles out there, there are other products, but they're clearly the inferior product. I mean, it's definitely a bit overly aggressive, but ultimately, I don't think it's that serious. I do understand why maybe somebody who I guess has been heavily involved with patents for 30 plus years, why they might be a little bit confused or perplexed by this. But I'll be honest, man, like, this doesn't really surprise me. Like, if you know Sony, you know that they are proud of their products and they don't really hide that. Although you wouldn't know it these past couple of months, but still, I just thought that this was pretty funny. And what's even funnier is seeing some people's reactions to this, where, I mean, there are some people out there acting like they are just utterly appalled by this, by the fact that Sony would do this. It's like, guys, I mean, maybe it's not the most tasteful thing, but is it really that serious at the end of the day? I don't think so. But honestly, I thought that this was pretty funny, and that's why I wanted to cover it. But we're going to move on to the final topic, and this is pretty interesting because it's a little bit of a follow-up to the recent rumor regarding the upcoming PlayStation handheld. So for those who may have missed it, Tom Henderson has come out and revealed that Sony's working on a new handheld. It's codenamed Qlite, and it's going to be a remote play device. It's essentially going to be a DualSense controller with a screen in the middle, and you're going to be able to play games on it through your PS5 through remote play. Obviously, a lot of people were disappointed to hear about that, but he's giving us some more information. He was recently on the Iron Lord podcast, and he came out and he said that his sources believe that this Q Lite PlayStation handheld will actually be released this November alongside a slew of additional Sony hardware, including the previously rumored PS5 console with a detachable disc drive, new earbuds, and new headsets. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot releasing at one time, and this Qlite handheld will be part of it. He then went on to speculate that he thinks the pricing of this new handheld is going to be about $200, but he did make it clear that that's just pure speculation on his part. He wasn't able to actually figure out what it's going to be priced at. So to me, this is pretty interesting. In a very short span of time, we're learning that not only is Sony doing this handheld, not only is it nothing like their previous handhelds and it's going to be a remote play device, but it's actually apparently going to be coming out as soon as this November. That's definitely a lot, definitely interesting. And so we'll have to see if this turns out to be true. And so he did say one last thing, and I'm in agreement with Tom Henderson. He emphasized that this handheld should be looked at as like an accessory to the PS5 and not really like its own dedicated device. And I feel like that's obvious, but yeah, maybe if you think of it just as an accessory, something you can buy, maybe it seems a bit better than how people were perceiving it before. But there you go. That's the latest update I have for you guys. That's going to do it for the video. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.